Well, good morning, everyone. It is the 18th of February, a Friday. It's a snowy day here in Belleville. And I am going to meet in just a moment with two of the leaders at St. Matthew's United Church. This video is primarily for the Eastminster congregation. If you'll remember, in November, the end of November, we had a congregational meeting that made a proposal that St. Matthew's and Eastminster would join together and begin to think about and implement, actually in part, a two-church, one staff model of operation. The document recognizes the fact that Eastminster is the larger congregation, and it also recognizes, however, that Eastminster has a bit of a financial deficit coming up in the year ahead. And it's hoped that by going into this process, we would benefit both churches. St. Matthew's needs the consistency of a minister in the pulpit on Sundays and a little bit of additional help. For that, they would be directing some financials help to Eastminster if we agree to this. And this video, the idea behind it is that we would get to know St. Matthew's. And for that, two of the St. Matthew's leaders, Mary Hobbs and Mike Wilson, are going to speak to us now via video. Here we are, and here's this time we want to join and just let Eastminster know about St. Matthew's. So we're going to ask a few questions, and Mary and Mike will respond. And first of all, tell us about the St. Matthew's congregation and how it came about.
I guess I can take this one.
Okay.
About in the 1990s, I guess, we had another United Church in town, Tabernacle United Church, that had a building that was needing way more expensive repairs than the congregation could shoulder. And Holloway Street United and Tabernacle amalgamated and chose the name St. Matthew's. And from that time, the Tabernacle property was sold, and the two groups have come together and continue to worship in the Holloway Street Church building.
Okay. Now, where is the Holloway Street Church building or St. Matthew's?
Well, we get asked that a fair bit because it's not on a main street. And so we suffer from lack of the kind of visibility that you have being at Bridge and Herkimer at Eastminster. But we are in the heart of the West Hill, in between Bridge Street West and Moira Street West, corner of Dunbar and Holloway Streets, up on a hill.
Tell us about your building. What facilities?
Well, some of your Eastminster people may remember our building because for many years, the Belleville Presbytery Resource Center had a space in our education and office wing. And then the conference offices were located there as well for a while. The congregation, we're an older group. Sadly, at the moment, we have no families with children attending our church. So we are primarily retirees, actually. We have about 70 households, and all but two of those are Belleville, in Belleville and area. And small but very committed group.
Okay, thanks. What about the facilities themselves? What sort of rooms do you have? What size is your sanctuary? Do you have a parking lot? Do you?
Well, Mike, do you want to take that one?
Yes, we have a good sized parking lot in the back of the church. Plus there's a lot of street parking nearby because say we're not on a main road. So we do have street parking, but we do have a large parking lot in the back of the church that's paved, and we do keep it plowed in the wintertime for it. So that's quite good. The building was about 1880 for the original church. And underneath the main sanctuary area, we do have the Centennial Hall, which was updated in about probably the late 1990s. And so it's a nice facility for meetings and gatherings and other services. There's a small kitchenette off that. And then there's a couple rooms we have currently, they're being used as Sunday school rooms off of the Centennial Hall. We do have an addition that was built to the original church in about 1965, and it includes another hall with a very large kitchen, almost the same size as what you'd have at Eastminster for your kitchen down there with top of the line kitchen equipment and ventilation equipment. And above that, there's probably 8 classrooms that were built for it, but currently they're being used as office space for the church minister, the secretary, other uses that can be made for it. So the building's in pretty good shape. Our roof had been repaired back in the, again, the early 2000s. So our roof's in pretty good shape. And the building overall is in a very good shape as well.
What about the sanctuary? How big is it?
Probably around 400 people, 450 may be able to get into the sanctuary. We do have a balcony at the back end. We did replace the pews a few years back, so we've got very nice, comfortable pews in there with cushions, so it's very comfortable for it. It was painted again at the time the renovations were done. So it would take a good size, say 400 people, 450 people for a Sunday service.
And do you have good sound? Do you have audiovisual capabilities?
Yes, we do. We do have, our service is shown on a projection screen on Sunday mornings. We do have very good sound equipment. In that type of church, the acoustics are very good in the church at the front. We've had some various concerts and that's performed in the church. And just with the acoustics in it, it resonates very well in the church. It's a good sound. We've had no complaints from that aspect.
Okay.
And I'd also like to just throw in that also we've made some, with an older building, some renovations to become accessible, which is required these days and very important for our aging congregation as well. So just off the door, off the parking lot, we have a lift that stops at the ground level for people to get on, and that they can be taken upstairs to the sanctuary level or downstairs to the level of the halls. And we also have a system in the church for hearing assist for anyone that might be hard of hearing.
Okay. So being from across the pond, I very much like to hear the word lift used rather than elevator. Anyway, as you can see, we're actually here having coffee during this meeting. So if you see us sipping coffee, forgive us. Well, me anyway. What do your leaders envision for the future of St. Matthew's?
Well, we know that with an aging and shrinking congregation, something new has to come. And what we're really hoping for in the short term is to get some leadership in place so that we can encourage those people who've stayed away because of health concerns during the pandemic to rejoin us, have some time to, with some leadership, to reflect on where we are in the city of Belleville, how our building and facilities can host ministry and outreach to this part of the city. So the other not so nice scenario is that, you know, we may find that we're not sustainable in the longer term, and, you know, be looking to wind down as St. Matthew's and join with the rest of the United Church elsewhere. But we're not ready to do that at this point. I think we really want to be true to the heritage of what has been a fine spiritual center for the neighborhood. Just like the east side, the west side of Belleville is growing, and we really would like to explore how we could be of service.
You were given the age of the congregation, or the age of the building. I think, Mike, you said it was 1880. And Mary, I think you told me at one time there was someone who was quite elderly who's been going to that church all of her life. Is that true?
That's true, yes. And we also celebrated recently the 100th birthday of one of our faithful attenders. She, on the other hand, came from somewhere else to Belleville in the 1940s. So she's not someone that can claim she's been a member since she was a child, but we do have a member who's never gone to another church and is in her 90s, I believe.
So even from the 1940s, you're still an outsider.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but
so you have this fairly large building. I've seen it. How is it? How's the maintenance situation? Are you able to maintain it?
Yes, we are. We do have a part-time custodian who's helping keep the building in shape and the snow cleared from the doors. Yeah, there was a lot of work done back in, say, the mid 1990s and early 2000s, which really helped with the improved, maintained, repaired, and left us really in a good position that with it being a brick building, not a lot of work to do at the moment. So we don't anticipate any major repairs. There's the occasional, say, rainy day where we may get a bit of water in, but you know, we've repointed the brick, we've redone the roof, it's a slate roof. So, you know, we've got some good years to go before we're looking at any type of major repairs. But you know, the one that comes up most often is our lift, with the annual inspection and maintenance on the lift that occurs on a regular basis. But the rest of the building is in pretty good shape.
And your sanctuary is lovely. For an older building, it's got a very sort of new and nice feel.
yes.
Yeah, that was part of the work done, I think, in the 1990s to have that painted up and looking pretty good.
And I think they redid the front of the church. It's certainly not the original layout that it would have had back then, but what it's done is given us a lovely wide platform, which lends itself well not just to worship, but to you know, concerts and other events that might require somewhat of a different layout at the front. Over the years, we've had several times when we've had a group come, a Scott Woods concert put on there, and that certainly packs the house. And they seem to find the setup at the front very amenable to what they need. And we've also had an opera group based out of Toronto come and put on concert style opera performances in the church. And they too have been able to enter and exit and do their musical thing quite flexibly, just with that lovely wide platform that we have.
Great, great. Let's tell me a little bit about trying to get a minister and how that's been over the last number of years and how it's affected church life.
Well, we knew going in, I think that the hope was that after the last full-time minister departed, that we could make a go of it with a half-time minister, but those are hard to find because, of course, most people want a full-time job, and we thought we had found someone. He was having some difficulties getting his credentials accepted because he was coming from another denomination. And in the end, when he finally did get all his credentials, decided that he really needed a full-time ministry. And so after we had waited over a year for him to sort his difficulties out, in the end, he declined to come to us. And that was a big disappointment. And really, I think, made everyone in the congregation realize that our future is in collaborating with one or more other local churches. That's the only way that we can have consistency in ministry. We've been blessed. I think Mike would agree with our voluntary associates, and particularly Wally Mayhew, who has stepped in and did an appointment and then a more informal fill-in job for us during the pandemic when we were able to be open. But when we've been having services other than that, it's been pulpit supply, lay worship leaders, whoever we can get. And, we really miss that consistent presence of someone who's not just thinking about Sunday, but thinking about 7 days a week and ministry. And our council has soldiered on and done, I think I've joined it recently, so I can say that the ones who've been on the council for the last few years have stepped up and provided leadership, but we've missed, and I think, we've just really missed that leadership of an ordained minister that can help us think about the bigger picture and direction and so on. It's been more, let's just deal with what's in our face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, a group of us met over a few months, maybe last summer, last fall, and we put together a draft agreement and ideas of how we could come together as Eastminster and St. Matthew's, and maybe utilizing each other's staff. Mike, you're the one that looks after the finances at St. Matthew's. How long, if you had a consistent presence in the pulpit and ministering to people, how long do you think St. Matthew's can keep going? And I'm always thinking ahead that if there's some good change, that could be extended. But if things don't change too much, how long can you keep going?
Yeah, if things don't change too much, probably 3 to 5 years. But as you say, if we do get that presence, hopefully it would be extended in to the future. Having a more consistent religious leadership would certainly help. Keep the church going, keeping people involved, keeping people interested in it. So that would be one of the reasons for looking for this arrangement, would certainly be to extend the life as long as possible. In the short term, we'd say we would certainly have a much shorter window to look at. But hopefully things will be very positive with an arrangement that can be made for us.
And I understand there's some history of the two churches working together in the past. Tell us a little bit about the past.
Well, we were quite interested to see in looking into some historical documents that I believe it was, I'm just looking for the year, because I haven't got it in my head. Oh, in 1974, the Holloway Street Church celebrated its centennial. And at that time, I guess the chair of the stewards reported that the church was out of debt, but not for long, because they had taken out a $5,000 loan to give to the newly formed Eastminster congregation so that they could build a church. And I think that amounts to about $28,000 in today's dollars. And I'm sure the folks at Holloway Street had to work pretty hard to pay that off.
That's amazing. So there was a level of collaboration between churches in the past and helping one another.
Well, I think that was a big time of growth in the east side of Belleville when all those new subdivisions were going in. And I think Holloway Street, being very much a neighborhood church, saw the need for mission, to those new subdivisions. And as we can see, it's been very successful over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Anything else you'd like to say about St. Matthew's to the Eastminster congregation?
Well, we haven't really talked about some of the mission work that we are engaged in our neighborhood. We, like you, have a ministry to the food insecure, and so every Tuesday, pandemic permitting, and we were shut down for a number of months during those lockdown times. We do provide a lunch, usually a hot meal, for anyone who would like to come and have that. Is either given out at the door, or when we can have people in the building, they can come in. And then we have what we call Matthew's Pantry. So as well as the lunch, people can take home a bag of groceries of their choice from what we have available. And we have a young woman coordinating that, who also is part of the umbrella group of organizations that are doing food ministry work in Belleville. So she's connected with that. And we have for many years had yard sales spring and fall. And although they are a significant fundraiser for the church, they also help recycle clothing, household items, and many other things from those who don't need them anymore to those who do. And we have a faithful segment of our neighborhood who do their shopping at those sales, I'm sure, and or a lot of their new clothes or things they need for their houses. And lately, it's been attracting a number of new Canadians as well. So we recycle scrap metal. So these are both sort of green initiatives, as well as providing a service to people who cannot afford to buy items new. And just recently, we've offered the space to the Girl Guides. So the 16th Belleville Pathfinders are using our hall for their meetings. And they were just recently starting to have in-person meetings again. I think they've probably been on Zoom for some time. So, we are we are of service to our neighbors already, and I think would love to explore other ways in which we could be of service. And we're sharing our building with the Belleville Wesleyan Church now. They are renting a couple of offices and using one of our halls for their worship service because it overlaps in time with ours. Because our building is way too big for the small group that we are sharing it with others. And I think that's important and something that we would like to extend. We have more office space and occasional use of our big hall that can be offered to others who may be needing a place to operate from or just to hold an event. So, these are some of our thoughts in terms of, not wanting just to abandon and shut down this building, but to see, how it could be of use to our community in the future.
Anything to add, Mike?
Nope, I think Mary covered it very well. The building is in good use, and we say we are sharing it with Wesleyan Church and with the food bank and the meal program, which have been very good in the West Hill of Belleville.
So during the last year or so, the United Church and the regions have been sort of telling us, and there'd be some publications that would come out that have been telling us about new models of ministry and churches working together in ways that are practical without necessarily going into formal 2-point charges or 3 points or whatever. I'm just wondering if there's anything you'd like to add about that, and if there's, because certainly I think there's some possibilities in Belleville, because our United Churches are tending to be aging, that unless we do something like radically different, that leads us in a certain direction. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's certainly something it's very timely for us to be exploring. And the only way we can have the time to explore that is to, get us out of survival mode, so that we can have some stability as to our current situation that, will buy us that time to imagine, research, talk to our communities, and see what it is that people will respond to and find something that feeds their souls, I guess, that we might be able to support and be part of.
Okay. All right, we'll sign off, and thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mary.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thanks, Dave. Very good.